Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is right now a nice day in late August, but right now we're just waiting for the next hurricane, Idalia, to hit us. Supposed to be here tomorrow, supposed to hit a little bit in north of the panhandle of Florida, not really here, but we're going to get rained on. And the other thing is that you're going to hear in the background, in addition to the road construction and the heavy machinery and the backup beeping and the dumping of soil that you're hearing, you may be hearing a lot of thunder in the background too. So I'm a little bit distracted today, but I thought I would try to get this video in before we get just doused with rain, which is probably going to be coming up a little bit soon. So what I want to do today is talk with you about orchid seed capsules and seed capsule maturation. I make a lot of crosses on the orchids in my collection, and that's probably what really excites me about orchids, is making new varieties, making new orchids. And you know, I see what's out there. I like growing what other people have made, but I really like growing my own crosses and my own hybrids. It gives me a sense of accomplishment when you can kind of paint using the colors of the flowers, when you can decide which type of orchid you're looking for, whether it's a continuous bloomer or a once-a-year bloomer, tall plants, small plants, multiple flowers per spike. I like actually trying to create new things, and that's what I can do when I make these crosses. And luckily I have the ability to do that because of my access to a laboratory. So I should mention, this video is also based on a comment from you on whether I could kind of go over capsule maturation times, when a capsule is ready. Before I get started, I do want I've got to tell you one other thing, and that these, and we'll take a look at all the capsules. You may or may not be able to see. You can probably tell by the tag swinging in the wind. The capsules that I have on these plants are marked. But you may not be able to see them well because most of them are currently green, and they form at the base of the flower. But they are called, botanically, they're called capsules. Occasionally what you see in the literature, and commonly they're referred to as pods, and they're not pods. And early on when I was doing this, I contacted someone to ask their advice on pod development, and I got an email back pretty quickly from Joe Arditi, who is the god of capsules and proper use of botanical terms in the orchid industry. And what Joe said to me is, don't call it. He was pretty blunt. He says, they're not pods, they're capsules. Make sure that you refer to them as what they are botanically. And as someone, my undergraduate degree was in botany, and I studied the sciences, so it's like, okay, I'll call them what you want, or what they are. and so what I refer to them as capsule. Occasionally I'll slip up when I'm talking to someone else who refers to them as pods, but they are capsules. So that's the first thing. And I should also say that Joe Arditi and Joe is the first recipient of the American Orchid Society Researcher Award, and I'm happy to say that I was able to nominate Joe. And so I've never met him, but we've corresponded through email over the years, and he's pretty precise when he talks about things, and I do appreciate that, in spite of the criticism that he threw back at me after my first email to him, which was deserved. So Joe, if you're watching, how you doing? Anyway, So that's the first thing, is that these are seed capsules and not pods. The second thing is that there are, and the main reason I wanted to share with this video today with you is there's a lot of information online about what the proper harvest time is, what the proper age is for the capsules. So there's a couple of things in the orchid world. What you want to do is harvest the seed capsule right before it ripens and splits. If you wait too long, what will happen is the capsule will turn yellow and then brown, but most often it'll turn yellow and then the capsule will split and then the seeds will be dispersed. And at that point, the seeds dispersed, it's open, it's too far gone. So what you want to do is get it right when it's ripe and right when it's ready, and you want to sterilize the seed capsule. So then once the seed capsule is enclosed, you sterilize it, you can open it up, everything is inside is sterile, and that's the best thing to do. You can sterilize the seed, it's a little bit more challenging. I do it, a lot of people do it, but it creates some additional steps, which is fine. Okay, so you want to get these capsules right when they are ripe, when they are mature, kind of like the good fruit, whatever you like it to be, mature enough so it tastes great. That's when you don't want them too young. You obviously don't want them too old, and that's what these are. These are fruits of the plant, and they are capsules. Okay, so. What is the right time? So American Orchid Society publishes a list of, and this is the harvesting time for selected species and hybrids. You can get this really all over the place. It's been replicated everywhere. And when you look at this list, it's pretty involved. But what they're recommending is a harvest time for the green capsules, not a harvest time, not when the capsule splits, but when you have the appropriate time. And there's all these different dates. The youngest, I think here I'm taking a quick look at the list, the youngest is 66 days, so a couple of months, which is fast. Most of these are 120 to 160 days, so anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6 months. I think when you look at these, Vandas tend to take a long time. So Vandas are actually not, they're like 182 days, so 6 months on Vandas. There's one of these, Trichocentrum, 207 days. So the maturation time, the harvest time for these capsules varies. So anywhere from 2 months to 7, 8 months. I've heard some people go, 11 months and over a year. All right, so you can look at this thing, but everything is different, and every cross that you make is different, and every plant is different. So what I wanted to share with you is some of my capsules and what you should look for harvest time. These are just days, and the reality of this is that when you do this type of thing, you use the dates, and I'll provide this information. You use these dates as a general guidelines for when the capsule is ready. But as your orchids tell you when they need something or when they're doing well, the capsules also tell you when they're ready, and that is when they start turning yellow. Some people say before they start turning yellow, just before they're starting to turn yellow, but you can't see. That's not a visual clue, but you can see when these capsules are turning yellow. And so you need to keep a close eye on it. Once they start turning yellow, they'll split pretty soon. And once they split, it's it's kind of too late if you wanted to take an immature capsule. All right, so what I want to do is show you some of the capsules that I have on my plants, and and as far as the different sizes and the different everything different about them, and then I want to show you some that I think are ready, that are starting to yellow, that are ready to harvest. So I want you to take a look at the capsule on this plant first, and that's right here. So this plant is Oprah Winfrey, and this was crossed. I'm looking at this a little less than 6 months ago. So this is my oldest one, and this is getting close to ready. I want to wait for this to turn yellow, a little bit more yellow, before I harvest it. So it may be like 2 or 3 more weeks on this. I can't tell, but it's when it turns yellow. But it's a large cattleya, and so what you have on this, it's a pretty large capsule on this plant also. And I crossed it with another large flowering cattleya. So, you know, this capsule right here, it's big, it's going to be big. The progeny plants are going to be big, but this thing is doing well. One other thing I should point out is a lot of times what you hear is if you put a capsule, you're feeding lots of seeds that are in this capsule. And people tell you, oh, it won't grow that much until you harvest the capsule. You're not going to get any flowers off of it. But we've got, you know, since this, you know, 6 months ago, this is a new pseudobulb right here. There's another one growing right here. And this is not a huge plant, but it still puts out new growth. So it may kind of take away a little bit from the vigor of the plant when you have a capsule with so many babies in there. But you know, if you have just one capsule on a fairly large plant, or even 2 capsules, I think it's fine to let these capsules mature, and I don't think it negatively impacts the plant too much. A smaller plant is a whole nother story where it may actually impact things. All right, let me take a look at so here's another capsule right here, and this is a little bit smaller than the Oprah Winfrey cross, but this is a smaller orchid. So this is a Momolani rainbow cross right here, and this is the capsule that's forming on this. This capsule it's a little bit, I think it's about the same. It might act, nah, let me see, I gotta check. No, this actually is my oldest capsule right here. So it's a little bit smaller, bright green, not ready yet. I'm not sure how much longer this has to go. This has like a new pseudobulb here. Another new pseudobulb grew out here. There's a new one growing right here. So again, this plant is doing pretty well. As long as the plant is doing well and thriving, I don't think it's taking too many energy out of the plant. But the Momolani rainbow smaller plant has a little bit smaller of a seed capsule, but that's older, but it's brighter green than the Oprah Winfrey cross, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Here's a smaller plant, and this is Mayaka stars. That's a fairly recent acquisition for me. This is a much newer cross, but look how tiny the capsule on this. So you're going to have a smaller capsule on a smaller plant. So this one, you know, since I made this cross, this has put out a large number of pseudobulbs. It was a fairly small plant, but it's, you know, it's doing really well. And this capsule, I got to keep a close eye on this because I'm looking at it, and it's not dark green, but it may be because of the plant. This is my first flowering on this Mayaka stars, and I'm not really sure what the capsules are going to look like or how long it's going to take to mature, but the bottom line is you got to keep an eye on these things and watch when they start yellowing, and that's when you harvest. Okay, so let's take a look at this plant right here and this plant right here, because these are both outside. You couldn't see it. Have it. Anyway, so this is the first one I want to look at. This was pollinated first, and there's 2 capsules forming on this plant, and this was pollinated next, and there's 2 capsules forming on this plant. Both these plants are incredibly vigorous. This is the first flowering of both plants. This is from seed, though, and this is, so I'm going to get progeny on a progeny plant that I grew from seed. But what I want to show you again is you've got smaller seed capsules here, and I'll get close-up of these also. But these are still pretty green, and they still look pretty good, so I'll let these sit on the plant a little bit longer. The plant is incredibly vigorous. It's not impacting anything. With Encyclia tampensis, you'll get a lot of spontaneous crosses, selfs, I guess. These were both, it just so happens to be, these are both selfs that I made. So both of these capsules are tagged. So I made these selfs. They aren't crosses. I actually have a cross of this plant with this plant, and I'm excited to generate a new hybrid. They're both Encyclia tampensis, but it's fun to actually hybridize and potentially get some hybrid vigor from plants that have probably been inbred for a long time. Okay. So these are, again, green capsules on this Encyclia tampensis. And if we take a look at this Encyclia tampensis here, again, big plant, pretty vigorous, doing really well. These capsules are starting to turn yellow. So I've got 3 capsules on here. These 3 capsules are all results of I think I made not sure if I made, some of these I may have made a cross on, and some of these I might have selfed, but these were all pollinations that I made. These capsules are turning yellow. All right, so when I look on my list, I'm going to look on my list and see Encyclias right here, Encyclias, and that is 160 days. So 160 days, so that's a little over 5 months. These are, if I look at the pollination date on this, the pollination date was, okay, so this is only 3 months. So these are not, according to my list, these aren't going to be ready to harvest for green capsule culture. They're not going to be ready to harvest for green capsule culture for another 2 months, but they're turning yellow. So one of 2 things is going on here. Either they're ready early, or the cross didn't make, and there's not too many viable seeds in there. And I'll know tomorrow. So I'm going to go to the lab. I'm going to harvest these guys tomorrow morning, bring them into the laboratory, and then extract the seed from them and see what's going on. All right. So, it may be that the seed that I'm going to get out of there is not viable, but they look good. They're pretty big capsules, and so they may have developed early. All right, how does that happen? Why does it happen? Well, this is just a list, a list of average harvest time that are recommended for the green capsules. But the reality of it is, it's been really scorching hot here, and with biological processes, the temperature goes up, the metabolism goes up, so the harvest time is going to be reduced, and that's what happens. So you have to look for clues from the plants and from the capsules when things are ready, and you do that with your orchids. They're talking to you, so you have to listen to them. You have to listen to the plants and what they look like and what the signals that they're giving you, but you also have to do the same thing with the capsules. These guys are turning, comparing the green capsules to the yellow capsules on Encyclia tampensis, the yellow capsules are telling you, and the ones that they're starting to brown, it's either not going to work or they're ready for harvest. So that's when they're ready, when they're ready. Use the table and the information and the times as general guidelines, but you got to watch these things, and you got to watch them carefully. Sometimes I have people telling me it looked green, and then I went out 2 days later and it was brown and split as well. I'm not sure I believe that, but things do happen quickly, especially if it's hot, and things can change pretty quickly when the temperature is so warm. Again, biological processes. I think the rule is, for every 5 degrees Fahrenheit, the rate of a lot of biological processes double. So things can happen quickly if it's warm, and as you might imagine, that makes sense. The final thing that I want to tell you is that I had I'm looking at my list here, dendrobium, and so I had a dendrobium, and it's not going to be easy to find. Okay, so this is that one. Okay, Phalaenopsis. So I had a dendrobium that it says the mean harvest time 131 days, which is how much is that? 4 months. I had a dendrobium, my Wu Lang, the last count. I made a self of dendrobium Wu Lang, and the capsules were starting to yellow. So I harvested them, brought them in the laboratory. After a little less than 3 months, they were ready. All right, so again, use this list as a general guideline, but the capsules will tell you when they're ready, and the plants will tell you how they're doing as well. So just keep your orchid ears listening to your plants and your capsules, and that'll tell you what's going on. Okay, it's raining. I don't know whether you can tell. My paper's getting wet. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. Okay, from a rainy Southwest Florida, waiting for the next hurricane that come through, I'm the plant propagator, and happy propagating.